Hi, bitch besties. It's your main bitch, Melly. Thank you so much for tuning in, and welcome to another episode of the Judgy Bitch Pod. Hi, Dina. Welcome to the Judgy Bitch Pod.
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm so freaking excited for this episode. This is going to be a Cavapoo/dog episode, and there's nothing I like to talk more about than Cavapoos, my dog Peanut, and dogs in general.
I couldn't agree more. As you know, huge Cavapoo lover. That's how we met. And do you have your Cavapoo mom shirt on? I have my Cavapoo Friends shirt on, so we're ready to go.
Love it. And since you mentioned it, do you want to tell my bitch besties how we met, how we know each other?
Absolutely. So I started a group called Cavapoo Friends NYC, obviously based in New York City. And we've been, it's almost 3 years now. And we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. I'm working on some other things, and we do monthly meetups in and around the New York City area. And we have almost 3,000 followers on Instagram. We have over 600 followers on Facebook. And yeah, it's really just a way for Cavapoo lovers, but also small dog lovers. We've had a lot of other dogs come join us too. And basically everyone's welcome, particularly small dogs, just because they're small and everybody can get along when they're all around the same size. Yeah, we do a lot of fun things together. So it's really about building community for the dogs, and also for, as we call them, pawrents.
Yes. I know when I found you by chance on Instagram, I got so excited because I have a Cavapoo. Peanut is a Cavapoo. And I was like, what more fun than Peanut having to play with other Cavapoos and seeing other Cavapoos? Because obviously it's a crossbreed. You know, every Cavapoo is a little different, not only the colors, but also the sizes. And you have a Cavapoo too, right? What's his name?
Yeah. My Cavapoo's name is Teddy. He's 3.5 now. So yeah, he's the whole reason why I started the group. And I was just looking around, and I live in New York City, obviously, and was seeing all these other breeds doing meetups: Boston Terriers, Golden Retrievers, Pomeranians, Schnauzers, and I didn't see one for Cavapoos, and there were Cavapoos everywhere. So I decided to create one of my own, and it's really grown over time. And yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled of not only the dogs, because I love the dogs, and that's the main reason why I created the group, but also people like you. I've met wonderful people, and we're able to talk and share our experience, and so that's been unbelievable. So
I love that. Thank you. And funny you say that. When I first got Peanut, or I was researching what breed to get, and then I landed on Cavapoos, I've never had heard of them before. And I meet many people who ask what breed Peanut is, and they also say, I never heard of that. What is that? And then once I had him, all of a sudden, every other dog I met was a Cavapoo. I'm like, how did I never meet a Cavapoo before?
it's true. I feel like the dog breeds and crossbreeds kind of go in waves. So recently I've seen a lot of Bernedoodles again, also still Cavapoos, a lot of people getting puppies, but certainly during the pandemic, that was a big time for people to get dogs. You'll see that there are a lot of dogs are, 3, 4, 5 years old, around that age of when we were going through the pandemic together. So there's a lot of Cavapoos, but yeah, they kind of go in cycles and in waves of the different breeds and crossbreeds that you see become popular every once in a while.
Yeah. And I love that you created that community. When I was still living on the East Coast, I came to a couple meetups, and I thought it was so much fun. Unfortunately, Peanut is very obsessed with balls. And as soon as there is a ball in the ballpark, he forgets that there's other dogs, and he just focuses on the ball. But I love the meetups. I love everything you do for the community. I moved out here to LA, and I still follow you, and I still appreciate your posts and the advice. And I wish more cities would have Cavapoo communities like this one. Here in LA, I found a doodle group, but they are more concentrated in Orange County, which is a little bit of a drive, like a 2-hour drive for me. But what advice do you have for other people who hear us now and who also want to start a community like this? Can you share your experience a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think, when it comes to Cavapoos in particular, I mean, anyone can start a group. Like I said, there's lots of different groups out there. Cavapoo Friends, I'm actually would love to try to keep that name. And so I've been working to try to do that, and maybe even build out having other Cavapoo Friends groups all over the United States. That would be fun. So that's something that I've thought about doing in the future. But in the meantime, yeah, for anyone who's interested in starting a dog group, it's really just about starting it. And that's what I did. I felt like there was a need and I just organically started. I created an Instagram page, I created a Facebook page, and if, like they say, if you build it, they will come. So, people started talking about it and hearing about it. I live close to Central Park here in New York, and so I would bump into people who had Cavapoos and other small dogs, and I would say, come join our group, and, here's my Instagram page. And it all happened organically. I don't, pay for any posts or boost any of my posts or anything like that. And then since then, it's amazing to me. I'll bump into people on the street and I'll say, oh, come, you have a Cavapoo or you have a small dog, come join our group. And they're like, oh, I'm already a member of your group. So, I mean, it's
I
kind of
love
come
it.
full circle for me. Yeah. Yeah.
You're a little bit like a local celebrity. Like everybody knows the Cavapoo Friends in New York City now. I love that. It's awesome.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun, and really, that's all I ever meant it to be is just a fun community for the dogs and for people to share their experiences, to share their love of the dogs, and yeah, really just to have fun, and that's the whole goal.
I love that. And in my experience, or at least I am the type of person that since I have Peanut, I won't be able to shut up about him. I could literally talk 24/7 about him. He's my everything. My world revolves around him 100%. Is there one thing that Teddy does that has you talking 24/7 about and you won't be able to shut up about?
I mean, Teddy, like it's really just Teddy. He's my first dog. I've wanted a dog my whole life, and I can't shut up about him. I mean, he's just everything to me. I feel like my world revolves around him now. It's, wherever I go, can I bring him? Or, how long am I going to be out? So I make sure that, schedule wise, I'm here for him. And, is he comfortable? And does he have friends? And, it's really all about Teddy. It's Teddy's world. I'm just living in it. And I never thought that my life would be any different, and he's changed it, turned it upside down, but in my opinion, all for the better.
I agree 100%. Like everything you just said, I'm the same way. And I think that's what makes the community so successful because we're all of a sudden crazy dog people. We never thought we would be one day, but here we are, right? Our world revolves around the dogs and we just can't shut up about them. So it's nice to meet like-minded people and just talk about dogs without feeling guilty that we won't be able to shut up about the dogs. And you organize those, I think they're monthly meetups, right? And you do it in different part of the city, different doggy parks. How do you find those locations?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. It's really hard. I'm sure you might feel the same way in California, but here in New York, there's limited places to take your dog. There's limited places depending on the weather. So in the summer, I have a better shot because there are dog parks that are available. And so we meet up and I try to pick different locations around the city that are accessible to everyone. So we're not just meeting in one part of town. Everyone feels like, they can attend and it's easy to get to. Easy to get to transportation wise and all of that. And then in the winter, it's very limited because there's only about a handful or even less of places that are indoors that allow dogs. You have to rent them out. So then I wind up charging a fee for people to attend. And then I want to make them fun and unique and different, not just come in and have your dog run around. So sometimes I hire people to come and do fun things. And we've had doggy CPR classes, we've had grooming sessions, we've had agility workshops. We have some fun things coming up in terms of learning how to make treats for your dog. So I try to do fun, unique things and keep it interesting, and all of that is fun, but there's a little bit of a cost associated with that. But we also get great sponsorships. So a lot of brands will, they love to put their name out there, and so I'm able to give out fun raffle prizes and gift bags, and so I feel like I'm kind of giving back to people too. So you might be spending a little bit of money, but you're getting some fun stuff in return. And then, of course, the idea of just being with your dog and being with other people and playing is, I think, invaluable.
I love that. And you're doing such a fantastic job. As I said, I still follow you and I still find value in following you, although I'm across the country. And you put so much effort in it and you're so creative with that. I really appreciate that. And let me just say, on behalf of everybody who is part of the community, thank you so much for your hard work you're putting in it. I assume it's not your full-time job. I assume you have an actually day job. So I really appreciate all your hard work you're putting into it. Thank
Sure,
you.
yeah. It's a lot of fun. I wish it were my day job. That would that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, it just it brings me joy, so it's just easy and something fun to do.
Love that. And I'm a crazy bitch a little bit. I'm also a German bitch and I have an accent. However, I give Peanut a voice sometimes. When he looks at me, and Cavapoos, they have such an expressive face, and the side eye is a real thing. And I give him a voice. Like when he looks at me, I always say, "Oh, he's thinking right now, bitch, what now?" Like, do you do that with Teddy too?
Yes, you'll see some of my posts, he is I thought he was the king of side eye, but maybe Peanut is the king of side eye. I don't know. We'd have to compare the two of their side eyes and see how they do, but very Cavapoos I find are very expressive dogs. So yeah, he lets me know how he feels, and then I like to say he takes after his mom because I also wear my heart on my sleeve, and you know exactly what I'm feeling when you look at my face. So yeah, I kind of enjoy it because I know what he's thinking, I know what he's feeling, and sometimes maybe I deserve to be judged, so it's okay.
100%.
There's I've not met any other breed or crossbreed like them. They are cuddly and warm and, as you said, expressive and just very adaptive and really just, I mean, adorable, obviously. All of those things. And anytime I ever introduce Teddy to someone else or even just walking on the street, everybody stops me. They want to say hello to him. They want to pet him. How cute he is. What breed is that? I mean, not to say that I don't think all dogs are amazing in some way, shape, or form, but sorry, I don't see that happening to all the other dogs. I mean, they really do gravitate towards him, and so do I, and that's why I chose a Cavapoo.
Yeah, no, that's facts. And Peanut is the same way. He wants to say hi to everybody. And I actually think the command say hi, he does better than the command sit because he's so friendly. When we're in the park and I sit on my little blanket, like a picnic blanket, he runs around from people to people just to go say hi to them. Like
Oh,
he's such a friendly dog. And that's why a lot of people in the park, usually with kids, are like, he's so friendly. What breed is that? And we are thinking about a dog. But I always say, Cavapoos, they are so friendly. They're very family friendly, kids friendly. But I always tell everybody who asks me, they are also pretty active. Like you have to take them on longer walks. You have to make some sort of games with them or enrichment play with them because they're not the type of dog you just have in your apartment and they sit in the corner and, they're active, right? Would you agree?
yeah, I learned that the hard way. Again, I didn't have a dog before Teddy, and so I just thought, oh, you get a dog and they sit by your feet, and that's cute. And no, he's wanting to play all the time. I mean, he as he's getting older, I notice he takes longer breaks and things like that, which I'm thankful for. But yeah, he follows me from room to room. He has his 2 toy boxes, and he goes in and he plays with them. He brings me his toys, and that's part of his charm. I wouldn't want it any other way. So.
Peanut is exactly the same. I can remember the last time I went to the bathroom by myself without having him staring at me or throwing a ball at my feet and then sitting on the toilet. I still have to throw the ball. I don't get privacy in this house.
No, no, I know. I feel the same way. I go through the same thing, but yeah, I guess I've gotten used to it.
Yes. But when we stay on the topic of the dogs being so friendly and saying hi to everybody, I noticed ever since I moved to LA and I take the elevator here in the building, and unfortunately there's a lot of Airbnbs in the building too. Sometimes Peanut barks at random people, and I'm always wondering if he can sense if somebody has a shady character. Because normally he's so friendly and he wants to say hi to everybody, but then out of the blue, he like barks at a person, and I look at the person, I agree, Peanut. Like, do you think dogs can sense good and bad characters or energies or whatever?
I think so. I think Teddy is a little less friendly, probably, than Peanut, just based on your description. He will go over and say hi to people, but then when people go to pet him, he kind of backs away a little bit. Like he wants to come on his terms, and he's much better when like you pet him under the chin, or if you go to give him, he loves you if you give him a treat. But yes, I do think, even not only with people, but with dogs too. Like if a dog comes over him and he's like not very well kempt and he's like shaggy and whatever he's barking, So sort of same with people, like he just kind of feels a little bit like if someone's wearing a hat or something
Yeah.
like that, yeah, he's a little skeptical. So it's okay. I don't mind. I mean, I try to obviously if he's barking, keep that to a minimum, and he's gotten better with that over time as he's gotten older. But yeah, there are definitely times where I can sense somebody's maybe a little bit off and he barks, and exactly in my head I'm like, yeah, right on.
I do the same thing. Like, here in LA, unfortunately, we have a huge problem with homeless people. And the other day, it was still dark outside. I was walking Peanut before work, and a homeless guy came running after me, which was really a scary situation. Peanut was working his little butt off, and I was like, "Good boy, Peanut. Good boy. Protect mommy."
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely feel it's funny. They're cute little fluffy dogs, so you don't think that they'd be such great protectors. It's not like walking with a bigger dog, but they
Yeah.
are. They do a pretty good job.
Yeah, but you're right. When somebody goes to pet him, like he's friendly, he runs up to people and wants to say hi, but he goes away too when they try to pet him. He doesn't like to be touched on his head. So I
Yeah.
tell them, touch him on his back. He might more let you do it, but he doesn't always want to be petted. He wants to go say hi, but don't touch me, bitch.
Right, yeah. Like life is on Teddy's terms. So it sounds like it's the same with Peanut. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's their world. We are just living in it, and I'm A-okay with that.
100%. Do you refer to yourself as mommy too when it comes to Peanut, or am I the only crazy bitch here?
No, I say I'm his dog mom. I mean, please, my mother says she's his grandma's because I haven't given
Yeah,
her any children. So, it's like, oh, grandma, and she asks about him before she asks about me. So yeah, it's a whole thing.
that's funny. My mom does that too. She refers to him as her fur grandson.
Yeah.
That's funny. And you mentioned earlier that dogs take on a little bit the personality of the owners. Would you
Yeah,
agree?
I think so. I think they sense, like you said, you talk to Peanut and you take his reactions and you react back. And I find that I do the same. And I see not everybody does that. So I think, I like that because I can kind of get his cues, his personality, what he's thinking. And I feel like we're having a little bit of a conversation, even though he's not really speaking back to me, right? His eyes say it all, his motion or whatever says it all. And not every other dog does that. So I kind of like it because I can kind of know what he's thinking, obviously, without him being able to speak.
Yeah.
He's obviously not as smart as some of the other Cavapoos who in our group, I am amazed by these dogs that have learned how to press the buttons that
Yeah.
say things. So we have some amazing dogs in the group that press potty, water, treats, and I'm like, okay, Teddy, that's next on the list. I mean, you got to be, brilliant like these other dogs, and he's just not quite up to par yet with that.
Yeah. But that's true though. Cavapoos are very smart and they're somewhat easy to train if you know how to, right? But also I learned to speak Peanut a little bit. Like, people say dogs are so smart, they understand so many human words, but we don't understand any bark. I would disagree with that because there is certain barks. I know exactly what it means. Peanut loves to play in the bedroom on my king size bed with his ball. But when the ball falls off and he's too lazy to jump off, he will bark a different way than his normal barking. So when I'm in the living room watching TV and he's barking over there, I know from the type of bark if the ball has just fallen off and he's just too lazy to get it, or if the ball has fallen like behind the bed where he can reach it. It's two different barks. So I do speak a little bit of Peanut.
He's taught you well.
He absolutely trained me. Yeah. But in sense of characters, he is such a clown. Like when we walk out the door in the hallway in our apartment building and there's like my neighbor coming out, he will stretch as long as he gets on the floor and like then crawl, like, with his belly on the ground, he will crawl just to be funny and to be a clown. And I always say he doesn't get that from me. Like he must have had that from his dad.
Yeah, they act in different ways and they try to get attention, and there's people that they like, and they like Teddy will sometimes almost like a cry, like he's so excited to see somebody that he's like crying, he's so happy. And then other times he's barking at people. So it's their personalities and the way that they are, it's just amazing to me.
It is. It is so funny. What's the wildest thing a Cavapoo has ever done in any of the meetups?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, it's just hard sometimes because we bring a lot of treats and fun things and stuff for them to do. So we've had dogs who've jumped up literally on a table with all the treats on it, things like that. Obviously a lot of pee, some poop. That's
Yeah.
to be, but yeah, just, face first into, there was like a birthday, I think I went to a dog birthday party once, like dog jumped face first into like another dog's birthday cake, just things like that. So lots of funny outtakes type of moments, but they go for what they want, and I don't blame them.
I'd love to see the blurbies of this. So funny. Yeah. And obviously, you and I were not in any form or shape any dog trainers or professionals or anything. We can just bitch a little bit about people, what we see from our experience. And there's one situation I want to bring up with you. I had a friend who had a small dog, and the dog never really learned how to walk on a leash. And she wouldn't have a harness for him. She would only have a collar. So we went for a walk, and the dog was pulling so hard into that collar, choking himself until he actually ended up throwing up. And I see so many like dogs not really trained well. And I know it's tough to train dogs, especially when you never had a dog before. But do you have advice when one of the community members asks you, how can I train my dog, or talks to you about training dogs? What would you tell them?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I've worked with a few different trainers when, as Teddy has grown, and I've learned a lot of invaluable lessons and ways to train that have worked for me and have worked for Teddy. I think one of the things I've learned about Cavapoos and Cavaliers, or the Cavalier portion of them, is that they do have some breathing issues. And particularly any dog, really, it's very difficult when they're wearing a collar and they're being pulled by their neck. But Cavaliers and Cavapoos, specifically because of they get like issues with I think it's like their trachea and breathing issues. So I've been told many times by various trainers to use a harness, and then that's a better way for them to be able, you still have control of your dog, but they're not being pulled on their neck. So I've always used a harness with Teddy, and he tends to pull too, but I have, learned and switched to a front clip harness, which I find is a little bit easier when he pulls, that I have a little more control over him, and that kind of pulls him to the side as opposed to forward, or, any kind of choking motion. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. And this is not an ad. I'm not being paid for saying what I'm going to say, but I trained Peanut when he was a puppy using the Good Pup app. I know that dog trainers in particular can be super expensive, and not everybody can afford it. Good for you. If you can, please go and do it. But if you can afford it and you look for a cheaper option, I can highly recommend, from my own experience, what I've been through with Peanut, the Good Pup app. And I really found them helpful. When Peanut was a puppy, they have the Puppy 101 class where you learn the basics like leash walking, sit and down, and even a few tricks. Peanut learned how to do high five and roll over and those funny things. So I would just highly want to recommend and encourage everybody who has a dog, who doesn't know the basics, or who's thinking about getting a puppy and doesn't know how to train them. Please reach out and get help. Reach out to me, to the Judgy Bitch Pod. Reach out to you, Cavapoo Friends New York City. I'm sure we can point them in a direction what has helped for us, for our experience, what we've heard, maybe for you from the community. I'm sure we can just knowledge share a little bit, right?
absolutely. I mean, I think that's what the community, what the group is all about. Is I do a lot of knowledge share posts. People want to know a lot of things about training in particular, and so everyone's doing the same thing. So why, might as well learn from each other.
Exactly. I agree. And I also believe that dogs show us when something is off a little bit. We just have to learn to see those signs. For example, everybody knows the paw licking. When dogs lick their paws like crazy, it's usually a sign for allergies, right? Would you agree that dogs show you somehow when something's off?
Yeah, absolutely. I never knew dogs could get allergies. I mean, again, I just didn't know much about dogs, and I've learned an enormous amount. Teddy has allergies. I've been to dog dermatologists. I never knew that,
Wow.
occupation existed before. So I've learned a lot just by having a dog, and that's where I think communities like Cavapoo Friends are so important, because we are able to talk about all this stuff. I never found any, even when I first got him, nobody was talking about things like this, or the fact, use a harness versus a collar, or, dogs can get allergies, or paw licking is a sign of allergies, or yeast infection, or, maybe they can step on certain things, or you and I have spoken about heat, right? Like the
Yeah.
temperature for their paws and how hot pavement can affect their paws, or here in New York, when the weather's cold, we deal with the snow and frostbite and things like that. So I mean, there's just so many things that's where these communities really come into play, and that's really what I hope to do. Is a big part of it is about knowledge share and helping each other out. So yeah, I absolutely encourage people to reach out, ask questions. We created a chat for Cavapoo Friends. We have a chat on Instagram where people pop in and ask any questions. But I also do knowledge share posts too, where we talk about different topics. We talk about grooming, we talk about training, we talk about food is a big topic. Everybody's always
Yeah.
curious, what do I feed my dog? Should I go raw? Well, the vet says this, somebody else says this. So there's a million topics when it comes to dogs, and we all need to learn from each other.
I agree with you, especially with the Cavapoos being a poodle mix. They have very sensitive stomachs. They tend to have allergies from what I learned from, meeting other Cavapoo parents. Obviously, you can always lean on your vet. You should always ask your vet first for their recommendation. But in my experience, especially when dealing with stomach issues and potential allergies, the vet didn't recommend to me to take an allergy test for Peanut because they said they're not all inclusive. Yeah, you learn something, but it doesn't give you the full picture. We wouldn't recommend it. My doggy trainer that I had from the Good Pup app, she also was a vet tech, and I spoke to her about it. And she said, why don't you just get an allergy test online? Get a saliva test, do it yourself. You send it in and they send you the results. And so I did. And the test wasn't cheap. I paid like $100 approximately for it. Just got it off Target online. And it was so hard to get saliva from Peanut because he's not a drooler, but I managed it. And I had like literally a drop, right? And I was like, I'm not sure if that's enough. But once the results came back, I was shook. Like there was a whole list of things. And to cut the story short, pretty much the only thing he can eat is beef. He's allergic to anything else: chicken, rabbit, fish, anything else besides beef. And once I got those results and I changed his diet to a beef diet, and it doesn't even matter which brand so much. I mean, obviously you want to look into it's healthy and all these things, and not too much fillers, which you don't want in doggy food. But ever since I changed his diet, it was so much better. Like all his stomach issues are gone. He actually likes to eat now. He was such a picky eater. He's still a picky eater. Don't get me wrong. Like some days I'm still struggling, and he goes sometimes 1 or 2 days without eating because I didn't put the right treat on top or whatever. He's a little, I was going to say bitch boy, but let's say he's a little king. Yeah. So, sometimes it just helps to learn from each other, like you say, to make a long story short. And also you tapped onto the summer and the heat and the shoes for dogs. That's actually really something I reached out to you, especially after I moved here to LA, and I live very close to the Walk of Fame, which is black granite tile. So that gets super, super hot, especially with the sun like on it all day long. And I do see, just to bitch a little more, I do see people walking their dogs on the Walk of Fame with no shoes on, and then they wait at the traffic light and the dog is literally tapping. Like the dog doesn't know what to do. The pawrents, as you call them, pawrents, right? They don't know how to read the signs correctly, and it's just a shame. So I do want to encourage people, please, please reach out to the Cavapoo Friends New York City, to the Judgy Bitch Pod. We can recommend you shoes, and please read those signs, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, all of these things. Even the other day, I was reading a post somebody wrote about their dog stepping in glass here in New York. There's a lot of broken glass and things like that. And yeah, you just don't want to have your dog go through any of that. So I'm not saying your dog needs to wear booties all the time. Teddy does not. He doesn't like wearing them. It is very difficult if you don't train them from an early age. But certain weather and certain situations, I think it definitely does help. And so, we've talked to other members about different types of boots and booties and what works for them. And everybody tries something different that works. And then we share and you find out what works best for your dog. But at least you have a head start in terms of brands and things to try.
I agree with you. And sometimes it's just the awareness, right? So maybe those people I bitch about, maybe they just don't know any better. They don't know that doggy paws can be so sensitive to heat that they actually can develop blisters. And once they have a blister on their paw, they won't be able to walk until it's completely healed. So there's no bathroom break walks anymore for that dog, right? So maybe just spreading the awareness even. And then you can even plan a different route to take. Walk in the shade where the asphalt doesn't get as hot, or, as you say, share with your community. Maybe there is even, I heard of the mushers balm or whatever. Maybe
Yes.
there's like an ointment you can put on the paws that protects a little bit if your dog doesn't like shoes, right? There are so many different solutions, but just please be aware it gets hot and please protect your dogs.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Yeah. And I do want to stay a little bit on the bitchy side because, we're the bitchy pot here.
Yeah.
What words do you have for people who don't pick up after their dogs?
The worst. There are no words. I don't know how it is in California. I would love to hear from you. But in New York, I mean, I think it's a daily occurrence that I almost or do step and poop. And I don't understand why it's so difficult. I mean, if you don't have a poop bag, which I've come across people who they ran out or they don't have one, and I give them one. I'll have an extra and I'll give them one, or ask somebody near you. There's a million dogs around you, So what's the problem? Or get a newspaper or whatever it is. But what is the problem with bending down and picking up your dog's poop? I have no idea why I need to almost step in it all the time. It's ridiculous. So I don't know if you have the same thing in California, but in New York, it is everywhere and it drives me
Yeah.
nuts.
It is the same here. And I would say it's even a little bit worse because every corner almost has a doggy poop bag dispenser. So you have those bags available here around my building. They let their dogs poop next to the dispenser and don't pick it up. And when I see people walking their dog, I'm the judgy bitch, right? I'm staring those bitches down. I'm like watching them. Are you going to pick that up? And if I see they don't make a motion to pick that up, I'm like, do you need a bag? Like, bitch, pick up after your dog.
I've definitely stood there and watched somebody who looks like they're not going for their bag, and I stand there and I wait. And sometimes if you stare long enough, they go, oh, somebody's watching me. Okay, I better pick it up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I know. I don't understand that at all.
Neither
It's
do I.
part of New York. Do you also we have a big problem here in New York with people throwing chicken wing bones or food on the
Oh my God.
street? I mean, the
Yeah.
amount of food that Teddy has picked up in his mouth, but mostly chicken wings for some reason. There's chicken wings everywhere.
Same. Yeah. And I always assume it's the homeless people maybe that find food somewhere and eat it while sitting on the sidewalk. But I don't understand why you have to throw the bones on the sidewalk. It's so dangerous. It's for the dogs. For everybody who doesn't know, dogs cannot eat chicken bones. Chicken bones are, what's the word? Hollow? Is that the word?
Oh yeah, they're hollow inside. Yeah.
Yeah. So when they bite them and chew on them and those bones splinter, those splinters can seriously injure or kill a dog when swallowing. So do not give your dogs any bones and be very careful when you're walking your dogs and there's chicken wings somewhere on the street because dogs obviously love chicken. Peanut goes crazy when I bring home a rotisserie chicken. And although he's allergic, he still loves that shit. Like he goes nuts.
Sure. Yeah, he knows. The other issue we have here too, I don't know, but since marijuana became legalized here, there are joints everywhere, and we've had numerous Cavapoo members who've had to bring their dogs to the vet, and their dogs are shaking and peeing on themselves, and the vet says, your dog is high. He ingested a joint or a gummy or whatever. They're on the street. So I just tell people you got to really watch, what your dog is doing, what your dog's putting in his mouth. Teddy is a ground grazer. He has been from day one. So I'm always kind of scanning the ground the best that I can to see what he could possibly pick up. But yeah, these are the types of things that I think, unfortunately, especially in a city, you have to, look out for. And so I just want to bring that awareness to everybody and make sure that everybody's looking out for that.
Absolutely. And Peanut is exactly the same. He's picky with his food in his bowl, but out on the street, he would eat shit he can find. He's like a little vacuum out on the street. The nose is always sniffing. It gets so fast in his mouth, you can't even look that fast. But one tip I also want to add to that is teach your dog drop it and leave it. Those are very important commands that are helpful with the chicken bones on the street. Sometimes Peanut snatches one of those chicken wings because, you cannot 100% just stare at him and see what he does. So I turn around, he's chewing on something. So I'm like, Peanut, drop it right now. Yep. Okay. She means business.
It's hard to get Teddy to drop those chicken bones. Like something else that he might not care as much about, he will drop it if I say drop it. But if it's like a chicken bone, he's like, yeah, right.
Yeah, because we're still dealing with a Cavapoo here. Absolutely. What do you say to people who get a dog and then, they drop them off at the shelter once the dog gets old, or, I don't know, they just don't feel like taking care of the dog anymore because there's so much work, especially Cavapoos, they're small and cute and funny. But as I said, they're active. They need some exercise and you need to invest time in it. So people then just drop them off at the shelters. Many, many shelters are overcrowded right now. Let's judge those people a little bit. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I feel bad. Obviously, I feel first and foremost bad for the dog, especially if somebody's had the dog for most of their life and then they just decide they're too old and too much work to take care of and drop them off. But I also feel bad for the people because obviously there's something going on in their life that they feel like they can't take care of them at that moment. I mean, just recently here, the animal control centers here were not taking in any more animals because they were at
Mhm.
capacity. So we had that issue too. And then recently I met with a woman here in Central Park who found a dog in Central Park that somebody had just left there. And the dog wound up, it had cancer and all these things. And, I'm assuming somebody just couldn't take care of it anymore. It was on the older side and she's been taking care of it. She had a GoFundMe page to help pay for the vet bills and things like that. And the community has really rallied and helped her take care of this dog. But yeah, I think, you have to understand that with a dog comes a lot of responsibility. It's not just a cute little, plaything that sits at your feet all the time. There's a lot of work involved and it's work for many years. I mean, you hope your dog lives for forever, but I guess the average is, 10 to 15 years or so. So, it's that their lifetime, that's what you're in for. So, and it's, I guess sort of what they say, like diapers to diapers, right? Like their
Yep.
puppy and then they, maybe become incontinent or have issues as they get older that you have to take care of. So they're just like humans, and it's a life, their lifetime commitment. So I would say that if anyone is thinking about getting a dog or says, "Oh, Cavapoos are so cute" and all of that, they are. They are wonderful dogs. I highly recommend them. But yes, know that it is a commitment, and it's not just fun and games. It's you're taking care of a living thing, and you have to understand that there's a lot of work involved. So I feel bad for the people. I feel bad for the dogs, and I hope that more people just really think through when they're interested in getting a dog, the work that's involved and how long that work is, that it's not just a few year thing, but it's at least a 10 to 15-year commitment.
Absolutely. You said it in such nice words. I couldn't agree more with you. Like, thank you. Really. And also, you keep seeing those memes, but it's true, right? And it says that the dog is in your life only for a few years of your life, but you are in your dog's life for their entire lifetime, pretty much. So keep that in mind. And of course, there are circumstances where people, don't have any other solution than to give the dog up. And I applaud those people because that's a very, very tough decision to make, especially when you love your dog like almost like your child, So I understand that there's situations where it's unavoidable, but for all those other people who just make that decision lightly of getting a dog and then just getting rid of the dog without looking back, I just want to let you know that I believe in karma, and karma is going to get you for that. And there's a special place in wherever we go after this life, and karma will welcome you right there.
Doggy hell.
Yes. All right, shifting gears a little bit, coming back to doggy parks. Sometimes doggy parks can be a little risky for dogs because you don't ever know what other dog behavior you meet there. Sometimes dogs are not socialized, especially the COVID dogs, because, we were all stuck inside and we didn't have a chance to really socialize our dogs. And sometimes you walk in, your dog is well behaved, your dog plays well with others, but there's just this one bully who won't let off your dog. And the parent just stands on the sideline and is happy as a clam. What do you do in those situations?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna be a judgy bitch, one of my biggest pet peeves is people who bring their dogs to dog parks and then just sit on their phone and sit on a bench and just like look at their phone and do other things and think that that's free time to let their dog just run around and they don't have to pay attention. When you have a dog, you're paying attention all the time when you're with your dog, Uh, you should know exactly what your dog is doing and you're responsible for your dog. So I think that it's when you're in a dog park, you have to be on alert. Not all dogs are friendly. Some dogs are better with other dogs than others. Some owners are more attentive than others. And so you really have to know what you're kind of getting into when you're going in there, and you have to go with a little bit of caution. So, we do meetups at dog parks, and I think what I like about it is, obviously it's an open space where the dogs can run around. I tend to try to find dog parks that are concrete or a little bit cleaner as opposed to wood chips and things like that where things might get stuck. But we wind up sort of taking over the park because there's enough of us, and so anybody who's there kind of will either hang out or eventually leave when they see a whole big group of Cavapoos that take over. But yeah, you have to be on alert, and you have to really be paying attention and watching your dog, not just sitting back and letting them do their thing. So I think dog parks can be really nice places for your dog and a space for them to run around, but you have to be on alert. Most vets and sort of places around here might tell you not to take your dog to a dog park because, let's say, if they're not fully vaccinated or a dog is sick or has, like Bordetella, then it's possible that it could be contagious. So you have to think about those things. But not everybody has access to free areas for their dogs to roam. So, depending on where you are and what your options are, a dog park could be a good option, but you just have to be alert and, be somebody who's watching your dog and be ready to react at a moment's notice.
I agree with you. Yeah, 100%. And, it's a little bit like taking your child to a playground, right? Like, you never know what viruses and bacteria the other kids have, and your kid might get sick. I would also say, especially in the summertime, make sure there's a shaded place maybe, or maybe go in the later afternoon hours when it's not so hot anymore. Always make sure there's water for your dog, right? Especially when they're running around. And maybe Google the signs of overheating. I would like to get that advice. There are certain signs that you can read off of the tongue of a dog, like when the tongue starts curling or when the saliva gets sticky. That's a sign to take your dog inside immediately because they can actually get heat strokes and those can be fatal. So be very careful with that. Since we have Cavapoos, they have longer fur. I always make sure, just like you just said, to not take them to any dirty doggy parks. Here in California, because the sun is so strong, there's a bunch of sandy dogs, but I don't like to take Peanut there because he gets so dirty. I do groom Peanut myself and I do bathe him regularly, although they say not to bathe him more than I think every 2 weeks because the skin can get dry. What tips do you have in terms of grooming? Or can you talk to us a little bit about why Cavapoos require grooming? And are they hypoallergenic, like a lot of people say?
Yeah, I've found that some Cavapoo owners say that their dogs shed a little bit. Some do, some don't. Fortunately for me with Teddy, he has never shed, so I haven't really had that problem with him. Because of his allergies, the vet has actually told me that I can wash him more often. Like, I used to just wash him once every even 3 or 4 weeks because I was told also not to wash him that often. But because of his allergies, it does help actually to kind of keep his coat clean. And I use a special shampoo for him and all of that. So I think it really depends on the situation. But anytime he does go to a dog park, when we come home, he goes right in the bath. So I like to make sure that anything that he possibly could have picked up, that he is clean. Every evening, I walk him in Central Park because we live not too far. And I just rinse off his paws every evening with just a little bit of water and a towel. I wipe his face down with a wet washcloth. I don't know if you have this issue with Peanut, but a lot of people complain about they get little eye boogers or gunk in their eyes. I just wipe his eyes off. It's just about keeping them clean. Plus, Teddy sleeps in the bed with me, so I don't want any dirt in my bed with me. So just, the goal is to try to keep him as clean as possible. But in terms of grooming, for me, I get Teddy groomed about every 5 weeks or so. I take him to a groomer and he gets, a trim. I tend to actually try to keep him a little bit on the shorter side. I just find that it's easier to care for him. Some people prefer to keep their dogs longer. It's just a preference. And yeah, for me, it's all about just trying to keep everything clean. So any which way that I can. I think it's great that you do your own grooming. If I felt more comfortable doing it, I would. But, there are plenty of options in terms of people learning how to do that also online. There's a lot of YouTube videos so people can
Yes.
learn how to do that, as well as a lot of grooming options. And we share those, here in New York. I share a list of some places that people can go to on, different sides of the town. But it's really just a preference as to what people are most comfortable with. But yeah, it's just all about keeping them clean and just trying to make sure. A lot of people like to keep their eyelashes long. I tend to kind of keep Teddy's a little bit shorter just because sometimes they get in their eyes. So again, it's really all preference and keeping them clean. But there's lots of different ways to do that. Wipes are a great thing, being able to take them even on walks, or like if you're out walking for a long period of time, being able to wipe them down. But yeah, clean is the key for me.
Absolutely. And I do use the wet wipes that you just mentioned. There's doggy specific wet wipes out there. They're not even that expensive. But since here in Hollywood where I live, it doesn't rain that often. So we have a lot of dust on the street. And when we come home, even from just walking around the block, his paws are black. So I like to wipe them off with a wet wipe real quick before he runs in my apartment. And he also sleeps with me. So I want to make sure he always smells good, because he loves to be rolling and that shit he finds everywhere because he likes to be a stinky boy. I don't like that so much. But yeah, I started grooming him myself because, as you said, I would also like to keep his fur short because it's easier. If you don't keep it short, you have to make sure you brush it probably daily because that fur can really tingle and that can really create mats that can irritate the skin and be painful for the dog. So you want to make sure your dog is well maintained and brushed, or you just keep the fur short to make it a little bit easier on you. But taking him to the groomer every 5-6 weeks or so, which would be necessary with the Cavapoo because that fur does grow quite fast, can be a pricey thing, and I'm sure the prices vary, but from what I had experienced, it was always around $150 for a groom. So doing that monthly just adds to the bill, and dogs are not cheap necessarily, especially picky, stomach sensitive Cavapoos where you might have to buy a specific, more expensive brand of food and treats and whatnot. And if you're obsessed with your dog like we are, you buy all those toys and treats and knickknacks for them. So dogs can be a little pricey. So I just want everybody who's considering to get a dog to keep that in mind as well. And talking about food, how do you feel about sharing with your dog? I mean, he's my baby. How do you feel about table scraps?
I have never given Teddy any table scraps. I didn't want a dog that begged, and I've been around a lot of dogs that have begged and barked, while I've been eating over at a friend's house or whatnot. And I just never wanted to have that situation. So I've never given him any table scraps. And it's funny because sometimes my family will say, but oh, look at his face and look, you just give him a little bit or something. But as we've discussed, Cavapoos he had a sensitive stomach when he was a puppy. It took me a long time to get him on the right food. Now with his allergies getting worse, I think I'm going to be switching his food again. So there's just been a lot of factors at play. And so I've been really cautious about the types of treats he gets, the type of food he gets, and, trying not to give him anything extra. Where I think it's okay, obviously to each his own, and everybody can treat and give their dog whatever they want. And this is just how I am with my dog. But there are like fruits and vegetables and certain things like that you can give your dog. I know some people give their dogs chicken or sometimes like beef on occasion or things like that. So there are a lot of, I would encourage people to look up what's appropriate to give a dog when it comes to human food. There's certain things that they're not allowed to have, like onions or chocolate or grapes or things like that. So I would just say people should be really cautious about that. But yeah, in terms of human food, I just haven't ever given him table scraps, but I know a lot of people do, and I think it's fine if you do, and it's whatever works for you.
Yes, 100%. I used to be so good when I still lived in Jersey City. Peanut wasn't a beggar. He didn't care less what was on my plate. And then I, moved him across country, took him away from all his friends from the Cavapoo community, from, the place he grew up in. And I felt so bad. And especially the first couple of weeks, I leaned so heavily on him because I didn't know anybody out here. So, I was like, okay, I'm eating cheese. Here's a little cheese, so now he is spoiled rotten, of course. He is not a horrible bagger. He will not scratch me or bark or anything unless I eat rotisserie chicken. There's, everything is off limits then. But if I
Right.
just eat my normal meal, he will like stare at me. If he smells the cheese, he will like stare and come a little closer. If I, eat my normal salad or whatever, he like looks at me, oh, bitch salad, no. And then he takes off and goes and lays somewhere. So he's still somewhat okay, but I screwed that up a little bit. I admit it.
No, it's okay. I mean, everyone does it. I think in the very beginning, and I worked with a trainer, they mentioned, oh, give him some cheese for certain tricks and things like that. And he wound up getting a little gassy after he would eat
Yeah.
cheese. So I stopped the cheese because I didn't want to deal with that.
Oh, this gas is vicious. I'm telling you. All right, Tina.
Sure, he would love to have it, but
I've been keeping you much longer than we anticipated already, but I can't quite let you go yet because it is tradition on the Judgy Bitch pod that we also play some fun games. And I do have some fun doggy related games. Let's just dive into them real quick and just get through them real quick. I'm sorry for keeping you so long. So the first game is called Who's a Good Bitch? We are judging dog moms and dads, and you say good bitch or cringe bitch or bad bitch, whatever, from the situations I'm reading you. First one is buys matching outfits for their dog.
I think it can be cute. So I guess I'll say good bitch.
It can be both, right? It can be a good bitch and a cringe bitch.
Yeah. It depends on it could get extreme, but I think it can be cute too.
Yes. Lets their dog kiss them on the mouth.
I would say bad, but has Teddy snuck one in once or twice? Yeah.
I come home from work and Peanut is so excited and, he wants to lick me everywhere. I feel bad turning away, so I give him my cheek to lick on.
Right. I've done that too.
Next one is throws dog birthday parties with guests and cake.
You're asking me this when my next event is a big birthday bash for all the dogs. So I'll tell you the reason that I did that was because I saw a lot of people doing little small birthday things. And I said, well, why can't we just all do one big one where everyone gets together and does it as opposed to this one got invited to this one or this one got invited to that one. So I figured let's do one big fun one. So, I think when you do one big fun one, I think it's great. When you do like little small ones and you only invite certain people, then it's not fun.
And I tell you, this is one of the events where I have major FOMO. I wish I could be there for that one so badly. But I'm also that, I wish. I'm also that crazy dog mom that buys the cake for Peanut and like buys toys and a banner. And I will sing for him and I will videotape and share with everybody. I do get comments like, Mel, you're crazy. I'm like, I know. What else is new?
It's okay. We all have done it.
I know. Next question is post professional photo shoots of their dog every holiday.
Oh no. Every holiday? No. Bad bitch.
Has their dog's name tattooed on their ankle.
I think it could be sweet as long as they're not like showing everyone all the time. Like, oh, look at my tattoo.
Right. Yeah. Not in your face.
Yeah.
Pushes their Cavapoo in a stroller around New York City.
Well, I mean, it's more prevalent than you think. So it's very hard for me to say. If the dog needs to be in a stroller, then I say good bitch. If the dog doesn't need to be in a stroller and you're just doing it because you want to bring your dog into a store, bad bitch.
Yeah, I agree. Refers to their dog as their soulmate and twin flame.
I say get a life.
Brings their dog to brunch every single weekend.
No, get a life. Bad bitch.
Really? Oh, that's me. I try to bring Peanut everywhere.
I think it's nice sometimes, and I've been to some doggy brunches, but every single weekend, Mel, come on.
The problem for me is that I work out of the office during the week and Peanut is home alone. And ever since we moved to LA, unfortunately, I don't even have a dog walker anymore. So he's home alone for like 10 hours. He's a good boy, though. He sleeps and, he doesn't really care. But the mom guilt is real. So when I'm then on the weekends, have the opportunity to spend time with him, I try to take him everywhere I possibly can.
Okay, all right. It's good. It's fine.
I love it, though. Trains their dog to ring a bell to go potty, and now the dog rings it constantly for attention.
I think the intention is good, but yeah, the outcome is bad.
Yeah. All right, the second and last game, and then I promise I'll let you go. I know we're way over time here. Dog park icks, because we talked about the dog parks before. So same principle. Tell me if it's an ick or it's fine for you. First one
Okay.
is owners who don't clean up the poop.
Ick. Major ick.
Major ick. Dogs humping and owners just watching.
Major ick.
Someone calling their dog their fur baby in every sentence.
Ick.
Letting their aggressive dog work it out with other dogs.
Ick.
Owners who call every dog puppers or doggo.
Ick.
People who FaceTime with their dog when they're out of town.
Ick.
Letting dogs drink from communal water bowls, but not cleaning up after.
Big ick, because I just heard a story the other day that a dog got very sick actually after doing that. So you're putting your dog in serious danger. So major ick, and major ick on the human too, because your dog could be getting very sick.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that, but water that sits out in the sun and multiple dogs drinking out of it, the bacteria grow so fast and you can see it with your bare eye. It looks like clean water to you, but it might not be. So always make sure to bring your own water to a park. And even I know that dogs like to share. I know Peanut loves other people's water more than his own, but just be careful with that, I would say.
Agreed.
And then next one, dog moms who baby talk their dog louder when other people are around.
Yeah, ick. I'm sorry.
Let's do one last one. People who say he's never done that before after their dog tackles yours.
I guess if it's true, but if I've seen the same person say the same thing multiple times, then ick.
Absolutely.
Like people who say, "Oh, my dog's friendly." I'm like, I've seen that dog attack like multiple dogs. Your dog is not friendly.
Dina, I love this episode so much. I could talk with you for hours and hours about our dogs. Tell our listeners one more time how they can find the community in New York City.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are on Instagram and Facebook, Cavapoo Friends NYC, and yeah, those are the main ways. And please join us. And looking forward to meeting everyone. And hopefully, Mel will get you back out here for a meetup soon.
Oh, absolutely. When I come visiting my friends in New York City area, I'll definitely stop by the community. Absolutely.
Please do. We'd love to have you again.
Thank you. And thank you for always being available online. I know, you and I, we text occasionally. I ask you all my questions. You are like my source of knowledge.
That's what we're here for. Like I said, it's all about community and friends and sharing things. And that's why I created it. And so I look forward to our conversations.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on. Stay on for one more second, but thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Thanks, Bitch Besties, for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Judgy Bitch Pod. And hey, spread the word. Tell your friends, your ex, your dog walker. We'd love the support. Want to be part of the show? DM us your feedback, hot takes, or unapologetic opinions. We just might read them on air. And don't forget to follow, rate, and review the pod. See you next week. Cheers, bitches.